The Galactic Council had ruled the stars for 12,000 years. They controlled 700 worlds across 42 star systems. Their fleets numbered in the millions. Their technology could destroy planets with a single command. When their scouts discovered Earth in the year 2089, they saw nothing special. Just another primitive world with creatures still burning fossil fuels and fighting amongst themselves. Ambassador of the Empire stood before the Council's grand chamber. His 4 eyes scanned the representatives of 18 alien species. Each one had conquered their corner of the galaxy through blood and fire. Each one had submitted to the Council's authority when they realized resistance meant extinction. "The humans have been given our standard terms," announced, his voice echoing through the crystal halls. "Complete surrender, total control of their planet's resources. 50% of their population will serve as labor forces across our mining colonies. The remaining will produce food and materials for our fleets." High Chancellor, a massive creature with gray skin and 6 arms, leaned forward on his throne. And what was their response? Mandibles clicked with amusement. "They asked for time to consider our offer. We gave them 30 of their planetary rotations. The deadline expires in 2 hours. Laughter filled the chamber. The sound came from creatures of all shapes and sizes. Some had tentacles, others had wings. Many had forms that would drive a human mind to madness. But they all shared one thing in common. They believed themselves superior to every other species in existence. "These humans are amusing," said representative of the collective. Her metallic body reflected the chamber's blue lights. "They actually think they have a choice in this matter." "Perhaps we should remind them of their place," suggested War Commander. He was a species known for their love of destruction. His face twisted into something that might have been a smile. "My fleet is already positioned near their solar system. 100,000 warships. We could turn their planet into dust before they finish their morning meals." Chancellor raised one of his massive hands. "Patience, Commander. We follow protocol. If they do not surrender by the deadline, you may begin the cleansing. But I suspect they will come crawling to us, begging for mercy. They always do." On Earth, the situation was very different from what the aliens imagined. President Sophia stood in the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around her were the leaders of every nation on Earth. For the first time in human history, there were no borders, no conflicts, no disagreements. The alien threat had united humanity in ways that centuries of diplomacy had failed to achieve. "They think we are afraid," President said, her voice calm and steady. "They think we will surrender our world, our freedom, and our future without a fight." General Wright stepped forward. He was a tall man with gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. "Madam President, our response is ready. We have been preparing for this moment for 67 years." The year was 2156. The aliens had given humanity 30 days. What they did not know was that humanity had known about them for nearly 7 decades. In 1989, a secret signal was intercepted by radio telescopes around the world. It was a Galactic Council transmission, a routine communication between their scout ships. The world's governments kept this information hidden from the public. They formed a secret alliance called Project Prometheus. Their mission was simple: prepare for the day when the aliens would come. For 67 years, humanity's greatest minds worked in secret. They reverse-engineered the few pieces of alien technology that crashed on Earth. They developed weapons that the Council had never seen. They built ships in hidden bases on the Moon, Mars, and the asteroid belt. They created an army of soldiers trained specifically to fight against alien threats. The aliens had expected to find a primitive civilization using nuclear weapons and combustion engines. What they did not know was that humanity had already developed faster-than-light travel, energy shields, and weapons capable of tearing holes in the fabric of space itself. "Send our response," President ordered. General Wright nodded, and pressed a button on the command console. In the vacuum of space, just beyond Jupiter's orbit, Commander received the human transmission. His translator implant converted the message into his native language. To the Galactic Council, the message began. We have considered your terms carefully. Our answer is no. We will not surrender. We will not submit. If you want our world, you will have to take it from us. And we promise you this. You will fail. Humanity does not kneel. His eyes widened in disbelief. Then he laughed, a deep, rumbling sound that shook his command bridge. These creatures are insane, he said to his officers. No species has ever refused the council. Prepare the fleet for attack formation. We will teach these humans the price of defiance. 100,000 warships activated their engines. They moved toward Earth like a swarm of metal locusts. Each ship was armed with weapons capable of destroying cities. Together, they had enough firepower to crack a planet in half. As the alien fleet crossed the orbit of Saturn, something strange happened. Their sensors detected energy signatures that should not have been there. Massive objects were from the darkness of space, objects that had been invisible moments before. Commander stared at his display screen. His foreheart stopped beating for a moment. Ships were appearing everywhere. Human ships, but they were not the primitive vessels the Council had expected. These were warships of a design they had never seen, sleek, angular, and covered with weapons that pulsed with unknown energy. How many? Demanded. His officer's voice trembled. 200,000 ships, Commander, and more are arriving every second. The human fleet spread across space like a wall of steel and fire. At its center was the flagship, a massive vessel named the UNSS Defiance. It was 5 kilometers long, bristling with weapons that seemed to bend light around them. Admiral James, the president's own brother, stood on the bridge of the Defiance. He looked at the approaching alien fleet with calm determination. All ships, this is Admiral. Today, we show the galaxy what humanity is made of. We did not survive ice ages, plagues, and world wars just to kneel before these invaders. They came to our home expecting easy prey. Let us show them their mistake. The human fleet opened fire. Commander watched in horror as his ships began to explode. The human weapons cut through shields like they were made of paper. Energy beams of impossible power tore through hulls that had never been breached before. Missiles that seemed to teleport past defensive systems struck engine cores with surgical precision. Impossible, screamed. How can primitives have such technology? But there was no answer, only fire and death. The battle lasted less than 4 hours. When it was over, 93,000 ships had been destroyed. The remaining 7,000 were fleeing in every direction, their commanders too terrified to maintain formation. Not a single human ship had been lost. On the Galactic Councils, the news arrived like a thunderbolt. Chancellor could not believe what he was hearing. The entire fleet, he whispered, destroyed. Ambassador stood before him, his 4 eyes wide with fear. The humans are transmitting a message, Chancellor. They are broadcasting it on all frequencies. The chamber's display screens flickered to life. President Sophia appeared, her face calm and confident. To the Galactic Council, she began. You believed we were weak. You believed we would surrender without a fight. You were wrong. We have defeated your fleet. Your ships are burning in our solar system. Your commander is our prisoner. The alien leaders gasped. Capturing a war commander was unprecedented. No species had ever taken him alive. We have studied you for decades, President continued. We know your history. We know how you conquered other worlds. We know the millions of species you have enslaved and destroyed. That ends today. Humanity is not your enemy, but we will be your enemy if you force us to be. We offer you a choice. Leave us in peace and we will leave you in peace. Come against us again and we will bring war to your doorsteps. The next time it will not be your fleet that burns. It will be your. The transmission ended. Silence filled the council chamber. Chancellor looked at his fellow council members. For the first time in 12,000 years, he saw fear in their eyes. These humans were not like the other species they had conquered. They were not weak. They were not primitive. They had hidden their true strength and waited for the perfect moment to reveal it. "What do we do?" Representative asked, her metallic voice shaking. Closed all six of his eyes. He thought about his ancestors, who had built the council through war and domination. He thought about the millions of species they had crushed beneath their heels. He had never imagined this moment, the moment when the council itself would face a power greater than their own. "We do nothing," finally said. "We leave the humans alone, and we pray they do the same for us." In the years that followed, humanity's reputation spread across the galaxy. They became known as the species that had done the impossible. They had faced the Galactic Council and refused to surrender. They had destroyed an armada that should have been unstoppable. They had forced the most powerful civilization in the galaxy to retreat. Other enslaved species heard the stories. They began to hope. They began to resist. They reached out to humanity, asking for help, for allies, for freedom. And humanity answered. Admiral led the first liberation fleet into council-controlled space. They freed them from their mining prisons. They rescued them from extinction. They gave weapons and training to any species willing to fight for their own freedom. The Galactic Council, which had ruled unchallenged for 12,000 years, began to crumble. Member species started to leave. Some joined humanity's growing alliance. Others simply disappeared into the vastness of space, no longer willing to serve masters who had shown weakness. President addressed the United Nations General Assembly on the 10th anniversary of the Battle of Saturn. "We were supposed to surrender," she said, looking out at the representatives of every nation on Earth. "The universe expected us to kneel, but we stood, we fought, we won, not because we are special, not because we are chosen, but because we refused to accept their version of our future. We chose our own path, and that is what makes us human." In the depths of space, on 100 different worlds, beings of all shapes and sizes looked toward Earth, some with fear, some with hope, some with both. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and nothing would ever be the same again. The Council had expected easy prey. They had expected another species to add to their collection of slaves. Instead, they had awakened something they did not understand, something that refused to bow, something that would rather burn than kneel. Humanity was supposed to surrender, but Earth's warships had appeared instead, and the galaxy would never forget the lesson that followed. Do not underestimate the creatures from the small blue world. They are far more dangerous than they appear.